All right, I think we are on, and the video is broadcasting. Um, However, it takes people a moment to arrive. So, for this first few seconds, I'm usually just sitting here and talking to myself. So, I do actually have a picture on my screen, a video of my face. So, I'm just going to talk to my face and say, "Hey, face, how's it going? What's up? Anything new? Been anywhere interesting lately?" No, I've been nowhere at all. Stellar sent me a smiley face indicating that I am indeed on, and that means there could be other people as well. Who knows? Who knows? What we have here is Ned the Barbarian. I believe I drew him on a live video a week or two ago, and and speculated that he looks like he's fighting something. And I just made a scribble over here that indicates nothing at all. Um, but I'm going to go with it. I'm going to start putting an opponent into this space. Now I've got a lot of space. I've got space over the top and down the sides and over here. I don't want to absolutely fill it. I don't want to absolutely pack, every blade of grass and grain of sand and make the whole picture intensely busy and full of details. Um, I like I like paintings that are clear and the action is. Hi, Evan. Yes, today's Bun Day again. It's bonus Bun Day, so you're just in time. So I like paintings that where the action is very clear and where what you're supposed to be looking at is very clear and what you're not supposed to be looking at is there, but it doesn't draw your attention. And there was a discussion about that on one of my other groups this morning, comparing Frank Frazetta's art to. Uh, they had a couple Western pieces that were Frazetta pieces, and they were comparing it to McCarthy. I forget the first name, but McCarthy, and he he's a Western painter, illustrator, very famous in his day. Um, and he he did great paintings, but every inch of the canvas is exquisitely detailed. I mean, you could just get down here into the little lower left corner and look at the facets on the grain of sand, or at least you feel like you could. And so, in a way, it almost looks like a frozen model of action going on, like somebody made some 3D sculptures of cowboys and one shooting the other and he's falling down and it's just kind of caught in mid motion, but there's no actual motion. and and the Frazetta paintings are very simple and brushy and just got so much more action to them, so much more. And so that is the kind of thing I'm hoping for in my paintings. I'm a long ways from there. Um, I will actually, because of my insecurity, I'll go back and do brushing and polishing and adding more details. And say, I'm not sure that's clear enough, and that's actually an insecurity. And up to a point, adds more to the painting. And after a point, it starts taking away from the painting. Maybe adds more to the detail, certainly, but starts taking away from the action and stuff. So I don't want to overdo it, but I certainly want to do it. I'm picturing this guy fighting a big, not too big. He's fighting a snake man. He's like a mermaid. like a mermaid, only horrible. So yeah, Snake Man, and I don't know how Snake Man's gonna look exactly. Can play with different angles for the body. It could go over here. It could come down here. Visually, there's reason to want to do that. It links the two figures together and links the shape of everything together, um, almost so that there's a silhouette that's joined with this silhouette. Um, However, I'm not sure that it makes sense, for the snake's tail to come all the way up to his ankles instead of going off over the hill. However, I'm not sure I care. Maybe I don't care. Um, I like his sword that I've made so far. There's, really cranked back. That's really dialed back, and you can snap and really put a lot of energy into that. I've done a little bit of sword fighting in my day. I wasn't good at it, but I've done some, and I know, I can tell myself that's a good angle. However, visually, it lines right up with that, and I don't like that. I don't think that's a good angle. So maybe it is good. Maybe I should be doing that, but I kind of my instinct right at the moment is to say I don't like that. So I'm gonna crank his arm back a little further this way and have his sword going up. Does that look better? Maybe. Um, that also leaves me free to have his other arm doing something, coming out here, uh, doing that. Because he's a snake man. He doesn't have to be doing stuff that you would do. Or gosh, he could be really winding up like a baseball player with his other hand on that. That's kind of good. Huh? Huh? Not sure. So, in my uncertainty, or to deal with my uncertainty, I'm going to go ahead and kind of fill this guy in. See, he's already dark enough on the page, but this one was light enough on the page that it was kind of hard to visualize. Over the years, I've bought paper from multiple different uh, companies. I bought whatever's on sale. Is basically what I've done, and then sometimes there's something drawn or messed up on one side of the page, so I'm using the other side of the page. Things get tumbled around, they get sorted into piles and stuff like that. So right now, at any given moment, each piece of paper is not from the same pad of paper, and each piece of paper takes the charcoal a little bit different. So it could be one of them that the vine charcoal could really stain in, which is happening here, and on another one it could just slide right off and not even leave a mark. So that's kind of interesting. You could have a scimitar. Yes, I like the idea of a curved sword for this guy. Um, we're still winding up with that dynamic. And what do you think? I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's good. I'm not sure it's bad. Um, but I don't really want to commit to it right at the moment. But I got to commit to something. I'm on video. Damn it. Okay. When I've got a model over here and and I'm drawing, there aren't really that many choices to make. I can just draw it just the way I see it, and I don't have to invent anything. But yeah, I'm gonna have to make a choice because we're here and the camera's rolling. Even if it's the wrong choice, it's the choice. We're gonna do it, and thus and so. Yeah, that's really lame looking. I don't know. One more, Gil. I'll give you one more. I know this is his rib cage coming down, his body, top of his head, his eyes. That's all fine. It's all fine. So I don't really want to tangle his arm up with this guy's arm too much to be, where one thing disappears behind the other. At the same time, yeah, we'll try to indicate that he's trying to grab Ned's shield. It's a dirty trick. I like it. Okay. There will be no more waffling during this broadcast. Sharon says, "Oh, heckle, you're no fun." I said, "No heckling. No heckling, Sharon. None of that. None of that." When you draw a snake or a lizard or a bird with an open mouth and facing you, it looks goofy. It looks a bit like Donald Duck when he's pissed off. So so it's Disney, is what I'm saying. Ned does Disney. So a couple hours ago, our cell phones went buzz, 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 and we had a blue alert, which I've never seen before. Um, he It was a police alert. Um, the blue alert is generally when there's been an attack made on a police officer or something like that, and there may be some general menace to the public as a result. Anyway, um, the alert was very vague. It didn't give us any details. Like, an Amber Alert, you usually get a license plate number or a vehicle description or a description of the person who's been abducted or um, that kind of thing. And we had to kind of dig for for what the hell's going on. What's a blue alert for in the first place, and what does it mean? What's happening today? Um, so it was one of these criminal mastermind stories that took place up in Phoenix. The cops were um, there were cops in a patrol car off to one side of some event going on, and a car pulled up. A kid jumped out with some kind of gun, started shooting at the cops. So they shot back. So this genius's his driver uh, drove off and left him. It was supposed to be obviously a die coppers, boom, 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 and then jump back in the car. But the driver drove off and left him standing in the middle of the street all by himself. So he's busted, and then thereafter the other guy. And I just can't imagine that there's going to be any loyalty on the part of the guy that got left standing in the middle of the street. I kind of don't think. I think he's going to cave. I think he's going to roll over on his buddy pretty quick. Could be wrong. Nobody's dead. Nobody got shot. That's good. See that little scribble I made? That's my shorthand for ornately detailed uh, metalworking. I don't know, something like that. So yeah, as a story, um, I don't know that it makes any sense for this thing's tail to be over here, where Ned is standing. However, it looks cool, so we did it. Receive silver alerts about lost senior citizens. Yeah, we've had a few of those. It's a big place, Phoenix. I don't think we can't possibly be getting an alert for every little thing that happens. I don't know what qualifies something. So the critter looks. I mean, his physical description looks like I wanted him to, pretty much. And so I like that. He's got that sword. One assumes if he's got a sword, he's got a way of carrying it. I'll have to work on that. Um, and then Ned probably ought to have some clothes on at some point. Um, not to ruin everybody's fun. So he's got a belt. Okay, good enough. Maybe I'll put a. It's going to be a sheath for his sword. When I do things like that, I've got to stop and look at what effect that had on it visually. Like, did that kill the motion by putting a straight line from there to there? So far, I don't think it did. I think it's all right. Um, but I'll try some things. Just I think it's all right, but I'll try something else anyway, just cause. So like something like that kind of suggests that there's more motion going on than you really see, because the scabbard's hanging by two straps, and the straps are kind of flipping up into the air. Um, I'm told that I've kind of overdone the whole guy standing on the balls of his feet thing, but it's how I used to always indicate that there's a fight going on or there's some kind of motion going on. It's like not to have him flat-footed. I think sometimes though I should not have him flat-footed. Maybe if I kicked his foot down like so. So I thought of a story from my dark and dismal past, and a reason I thought of it was because it was very relevant to something. And now I can't remember what it was relevant. I can only remember the story, not what I was intending to relate it to. So I can either save it until I remember, which might never happen, or I'll just say it. So I'll just say this story. Stella and I both used to work in a factory up in Prescott Valley called Better Built. We made aluminum framed doors and windows, very heavy work, very fast, very, very fast. And Stellar, for a long time, was had a job called the vent builder. That's the if you got a window, it's got two sheets of glass, and one of them slides, and one of them stays still. This is the fixed vent. The sliding one is the sash vent. She built vents. Okay, so um, it was a neat rig. There's these two pads, and you grab a piece of raw glass and you put it in between these two pads, and you hit a foot pedal, and by compressed air, the two pads came together and gripped the glass, and it would rotate around like a wheel. It's called a vent wheel. And there was a spool of vinyl up on the overhead, and you grab the vinyl and you could start spinning the glass around. Very dangerous. It's just as dangerous as it sounds. And you're running the vinyl through your hands and sliding it along the edge of the piece of glass to wrap the glass in vinyl, and then you snip it when you get to the end, and then you take the metal parts and hammer them on to the vinyl, and then when you get all four parts on, you tap it this way and this way until it matches, and then you take your screw gun, which is hanging there on a little bouncy spring, and it's air driven as well. So you take the screw gun, you go, and you do all four corners, and okay, um, it's a futzy job, and it can be very heavy and it can be very hard. Some people just cannot get it. There's a dozen things that are really hard to do with this job uh, that make it hard to get one done, get it right, and especially to do it fast. It's very difficult to do. Um, Stellar was probably twice as fast as the next fastest person that ever worked there. So she was incredibly fast, legendary, and I actually achieved a similar status in over on my line. I worked on the storm door line, and I did a job called kick plating. And kick plating was uh, some metal plate at the bottom of the door that you could conceivably kick to open the door. It was called a kick plate. So the guys would make the door frame and then just kind of throw it, sometimes literally, and just throw it off of their table. I grab it, I throw it onto my table, um, run a bead of glue, put the kick plate in. Then there was a meeting rail that you put to hold the top of the kick plate, and another meeting rail for the two vents that were going to go on there. And then I hand that off to the Z-bar guys, and the Z-bar guys, they did the part that bolts to your wall. Okay, so and then hinges, so the door swings on the Z-bar. So they attached all that bit and put it on the belt and went down. Somebody took the vents, and put them in their spot and put it all together. Okay, so um, kick plating was a two-person job. It was absolutely physically impossible to do it by yourself. You couldn't do it. So and it was the slowest part. The Z-bar guys were always faster. The framers were always faster. So the framers always caught up to the kick platers and had to stop and do some kick plating, to get you out of trouble. And the Z-bar guys would have to stop and either go help somebody else, or they'd come back and do some of your kick plating so that they get you out of trouble. Well, my partner in kick plating got fired, and they didn't replace her. They made me do the job by myself. And so I did it. And you can't kick plate as a one person. It's not, you can't do it. There's some physical things that just, it takes two people to do this job. I not only did it, but nobody ever caught up to me again, ever. In fact, I just I would have to go help the framers because they just couldn't keep up with me, and then I would help the framers for a while until I had a pile, and then and then I'd stack things up on the Z-bar guys, and then I'd have to go Z-bar for a while until there was a big pile. Um, all of which is, once you leave the factory, uh, an utterly worthless resume. It's like you can't take that anywhere else and say, "Oh, hey, I'm a really good kick plater," because I mean, even at another factory, they have such a different system that you can't even do what you used to do. I mean, it's an utterly worthless resume, but you build this sense of identity out of this thing that you do, and you do it really well, and everybody knows that you're just amazing at this job, and it becomes kind of who you are. And then somebody comes along, and does your job as well as you or better than you, and you start to feel threatened, like you'd like to go kill that person. They're stepping too deep into your space, and it's just crazy that you could have these kind of emotions like, hey, this is mine, like why would you care, um and I was going to affix that story with something socially relevant that was going on in the world. It was just the kind of crazy thing where somebody was threatened by changes in the world. It's just like you come along possibly with a new technology that is going to make your job completely unnecessary, and it's probably a good thing. The job sucked, and it would be good to go do something else. It would be, this new technology is going to make your job easier, it's going to make everything nicer, the product is going to be a higher quality, and you're bound to get tremendous resistance from the workers because they have tied so much of their definition of who they are in the fact that I'm the guy who does this, and you're taking that away from me. And yes, Sharon says the ability to improvise a better way to do something is generally appreciated at Honda. Yeah, I bet it is, more so than my factory. um, I'm off my track, but then again, I probably have said as much as I can remember, because like I said, I can't remember what issue that that I was applying that to, except that yes, people are very, very threatened um, by change, and by something that's going to take away what they believe to be, you know, their defining characteristic. Even if you could just physically grab them out of their situation, this this mullah in Afghanistan, who's got this petty, tiny, insignificant bit of power in his little village, right? And yet you come along, you say, hey, we want to build a pipeline through here, and we're going to give everybody jobs. Everybody's going to have money. We're going to send everybody to school. There's going to be education, and he's going to be like, no, because I won't be the only guy in town that knows anything. And so he's deeply threatened, and he wants to kill the people who are trying to build things. And so um, that wasn't my example, but I dug that one up. So yeah, that goes on. Sharon, you reminded me of another story, um, where they came out with a program. And they said, okay, we've got a monetary reward for um, for somebody who comes up with a system that will improve efficiency and safety, anything like that. Something that, something that we're doing, we could do better. It would make it go faster. Okay, so what I was doing, the kick plating, was it was on a flat table, It was on a framing table, which didn't need to be. Um, and you had to squeeze the sides of the door together, and frequently that was longer than the reach of your arms, and so this hence the other person had to be there. And so there were things you couldn't reach across the table. And so when they had this program, they said, you submit your design or whatever, and if we approve it and decide we're going to do it, um, then then you'll get this monetary reward. I don't remember what it was, but it was significant enough to be motivating, right? Um, so I was one of those guys. I was noisy and obnoxious, and so everybody in the plant knew who I was, even if I didn't know everybody in the plant. And I immediately had a design where I said, instead of doing this thing on this table, if we did it on an A-frame, like an easel, instead of having to reach from here way across to here, you could just be standing there with your screw gun and go zip, zip, right? Because it's this close to you, and so that would make that whole thing easier. And so you take your thing and you submit it to George in the front office, right? So I took my thing, and everybody on my line knew that I had come up with an idea. The workers were deeply, deeply, passionately distrustful of the front office, like absolute distrust, deserved. And so within minutes, everyone in the plant knew that guy on the storm door line, that guy with the long wavy hair. He submitted a thing. Sure enough, next week, uh, they approved it and they made a general announcement, and they said, congratulations to George in the front office, who's receiving this monetary reward for designing this new kick plating table. Um, and that was the last time anybody submitted a design. And I know that there were hundreds, maybe thousands, of things that could have happened that would have improved something about our system, but they screwed me, and they screwed me absolutely publicly. I mean, it might as well have been on camera and projected 50 feet tall on the wall. So yeah, they did that, and of course they screwed themselves. They thought they were smart. They really, really thought they were smart, and all they did was sabotage their own system. So that happened. That was not an isolated event. Lots of stuff like that happened. So it was a great company to leave, but at the same time, I can look back on that even now and go, I've done a lot of things really well, but I've never done anything else where the difference between me and the next guy was so extreme. You know, uh, it's like 10, 20 people couldn't keep up with me there. Um, and that became a very, very important part of my identity, even though it's not worth a damn. But anyway, yeah, there it is. And so I can understand, um, without sympathizing, I can understand when people are threatened by change. And that's all I've got for today. And I'm not sure it's worth anything, but thanks for coming. And we're gonna work on this. We're gonna give Ned a costume. We're gonna give this snake guy a costume, and and maybe even give him a story. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So I'll be back again tomorrow, in theory, at 3 o'clock. See you then.